Part 125. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1244. Genius remembers love male sign go divided by Xiao. Talk rightward arrow net in 1 second to provide you with wonderful novels to read. Seeing that Jia Yan seemed to have understood something, Kong Ping was shocked, but continued to activate the colorful brilliance, and the power above seemed to have increased. Your domain actually has a lost sense of direction? There is such a domain in the world, and there are such gifted creatures. It really is a vast world, full of wonders. Jia Yan looked at the colorful brilliance flying in front of him, but his body did not retreat, but moved towards the colorful brilliance. What's strange is that the closer he gets to this colorful brilliance, the more Jia Yan's body flies backwards, and the distance between him and the brilliance becomes farther. I know that no matter how confused you are, I move towards the direction of your attack, but stay away from it. This is probably the biggest weakness in your area of confusion. Seeing that this plan was feasible, Jia Yan's eyes flashed with joy. Ha, if the power of the domain is as simple as you said, can it still be called a stellar level domain? Kong Ping saw Jia Yan's actions, but she didn't panic at all because she had been seen through. Instead, she answered with vigor. Following her voice, Jia Yan felt the colorful light in front of him attack in his direction again. How could it be possible? She can actually mobilize this confusion at any time. What should we do? Jia Yan was startled, and then hid around him, but no matter how he hid this time, the colorful brilliance still came to Jia Yan. As a last resort, he once again used Azure Defense to block this colorful brilliance. Next, Kong Ping continued to use her domain power to attack Jia Yan. No matter how Jia Yan avoided it, these attacks were all able to hit Jia Yan's body. Even Jia Yang Gong's mutated huge body felt a little bit irresistible at this time. You must know that he has just successfully mutated. Just like before, it will take a certain amount of time for the newly mutated body to reach its peak. At this time, it can only be regarded as an initial defense. How can it withstand the violent bombardment of another star level? Indiscriminate bombing. Not only him, but Kong Ping, as the attacker, was also deeply shocked at this moment. This Jia Yan's defense is so terrifying. And his strength, why hasn't it declined too much yet? Is this kind of physical fitness a newly promoted star-level person should have? Even though Kong Ping is the attacker, she has to attack and keep the field open at the same time, which consumes a lot of money. At this time, she is also in a state of exhaustion. Jia Yan. The grudge between you and me has lasted for more than 10 years. Today you have become a star. I see your talent and kindness. If you are willing to swear to obey me for 50 years after you leave, I will spare your life. How about that? Kong Ping suddenly spoke from a distance. I have obeyed you for 50 years and then you will let me go. After hearing these words, Jia Yan was startled for a moment, and then laughed sarcastically. Kong Ping, stop dreaming. Do you think I don't know that your strength has also been reduced a lot? Use whatever means you have, otherwise when your strength weakens a little, you will be the one who dies. Asshole, you didn't take advantage of the opportunity I gave you. Kong Ping's expression froze in embarrassment and anger, and then she suddenly increased the strength of her attack. A colorful brilliance that far exceeded the one she had released before suddenly appeared in the field, and then struck hard at Jia Yan. Are you betting that this blow will kill me in the end? Don't worry, I won't die. Jia Yan looked at the blow, and then actually stretched out his front foot. On the front foot, a strange wriggling substance, like a disgusting ball of snot, was thrown out instantly, and suddenly collided with the flying colorful light. Bang! An overwhelming terrifying power exploded fiercely in the cosmic space. The entire space shook, and there were even large gaps in the space. This shows how terrifying the explosion was. The condensate material thrown out by Jia Yan was part of the useless condensate left in the outside world after the previous mutation was completed. Because they also contained antimatter components, Jia Yan collected part of it. At this time, it exploded, and it was so powerful that it directly wiped out the colorful brilliance of Kong Ping's heart attack. And just under this blow, the power of the realm, which was already crumbling, was unable to withstand it, and after a moment of shaking, puff, a sound. The realm was completely shattered, like glass broken, and the surrounding world returned to normal. Even after the terrifying explosive power exploded the field, it bombarded in all directions, affecting stars such as Taiya's star. But at this time, Jia Yan no longer had the intention to pay attention to the situation on Taiya's star. Instead, his eyes instantly focused and he looked at a figure that flew away into the distance the moment the field exploded. Kong Ping, why do you want to leave? It's hard to see an old friend. Let's stay and have a good chat. He burst into laughter, then moved and quickly chased after the flying figure. That's right. After Kong Ping saw her last blow, she still couldn't resist Jia Yan. Even her own domain was completely destroyed after Jia Yan threw out the terrible explosive, and she immediately stopped fighting with Jia Yan. The thought of going down turned to running away. A star-level powerhouse who had mastered the domain actually chose to escape after fighting a newcomer star-level who was still in a stable period. If you say this, countless stars will be shocked and unbelievable. However, if Huoku hears this news and knows that the newcomer in the stable period is Jia Yan, he probably won't be surprised. Because he had fought against Jia Yan who had not yet been promoted, and it was normal for him to be able to beat away a veteran star-level creature after he was promoted to a creature that he could not kill even as a mid-level star. Jia Yan. Damn it, don't be aggressive. You have won this battle. Don't think that I have no backup plan. If you don't want the fish to die, stop chasing. Kong Ping was flying in front, and when she saw Jia Yan behind her, he was pursuing her fiercely in his direction again. His expression suddenly condensed, and then he screamed with a fierce voice and look. Originally, as a star, she always looked graceful and noble no matter what happened, but her plain voice, at this moment, she actually sounded like an old woman who was driven to panic, and it was extremely unpleasant to listen to. Hey, Senior Kong Ping, what you said is wrong. You came here to find me, and now you actually want me not to chase you. This is a bit unreasonable. Otherwise, let me see if you can use your backhand. Maybe after seeing your backhand, this junior will really stop pestering you. Jia Yan's mocking voice sounded behind this stellar powerhouse. His extremely mocking words made Kong Ping, who was running for his life in front, almost explode in anger. When she came here this time, she originally wanted to take back the two treasures that Jia Yan had taken away, but she didn't expect that she would meet Jia Yan, who had been promoted to the star level. And she originally thought that even if Jia Yan was promoted to a star, she would be able to easily crush Jia Yan given that she had stayed at the star level for decades and had a stable understanding of the field. Unexpectedly, Jia Yan, who had just been promoted to a star, was not even afraid of her domain. After consuming most of her power, she used a terrifying explosive power to completely explode her domain. Is this still the early stage of Nima's star? And she could see that Jia Yan was not familiar with his strength yet, and he had not fully used it. If he were to fully use his promoted strength, it would definitely be much more terrifying than it is now. She was already regretting that she had let go of that mere venerable creature. I even regretted why I was still greedy for those two treasures when I heard that this venerable creature had returned to the Northern Star territory, and came over like a fool to cause trouble for the other party. If she could do it all over again, she wouldn't even want to meet this Jia Yan. But there are no ifs. Jia Yan. You forced me to do this. Suddenly, she felt that Jia Yan behind her had entered the subspace, and when her speed suddenly approached her, Kong Ping, who knew that she could not escape without using any means, stopped escaping. She turned her head and looked into the space beside her. And the moment she turned her head, a figure appeared directly beside her. But as if Kong Ping had expected it, a brilliant light suddenly lit up on her colorful tail feathers. And this light, almost as soon as it lit up, reached the previous 5 colors. But the 5 colors were not enough. Just after the 5 colors lit up, suddenly a touch of white that had never been there appeared on the tail. Huh! The creature that appeared from Kong Ping's side was naturally the giant mosquito Jia Yan, whose body reached 1 kilometer in size. At this moment, he felt the strange shape of Kong Ping's tail and wanted to attack, so he couldn't help but pause. On the 6-color tail, he felt a trace of amazing aura. However, the mutation of Kong Ping's tail was not over yet. When Jia Yan completely appeared in the normal starry sky, it was too late to withdraw the attack. There is suddenly a strange color on this tail. That's black. Different from the previous colorful ones, look for books, and different from the white that appeared later. When this black appeared, it instantly swallowed up the rest of the colors on the tail. The entire tail, against the dark background of the universe, it was as if the invisibility method had been cast, and it suddenly changed from a colorful appearance to a weird appearance that almost completely disappeared. This breath is terrifying. As soon as Jia Yan sensed it, he understood that the sudden color change of the opponent's tail was by no means a simple change of color. At this time, he quickly gave up the attack and retreated towards the subspace that had not yet been completely closed. However, even though Jia Yan is fast, the speed of the black tail is 1 step faster than Jia Yan. Puff! When Jia Yan retreated toward the subspace behind him, all the feathers of the black tail were completely separated from Kong Ping's tail. One by one, they seemed to form an extremely strange pattern and shot toward Jia Yan in an instant. Jia Yan, since you have forced me to this point, and I don't want these 2 treasures, just give me, just die. Mobile phone users, please browse and read for a better reading experience. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1245. Genius remembers love male sign go divided by Xiao. Talk rightward arrow net in 1 second to provide you with wonderful novels to read. What exactly is this feather? When Jia Yan felt the completely black feathers, his whole expression was completely shocked. In this universe, there is no fantasy power like in the novels on Earth. Every strong man's moves or body parts have their own scientific reasons. Jia Yan's power is based on scientific principles, and the same is true for other star-level powerhouses. Even the power of stellar powerhouses in their respective fields can be explained by scientific and technological principles. Even if Kong Ping's extremely unreasonable sense of direction missed the field before, there will definitely be scientific explanations. At this time, she shot out seemingly fantasy feathers, and also turned completely black, which was definitely in the scientific category. I'm still too unfamiliar with stellar levels. Jia Yan sighed helplessly. He knew that even if he had some upper hand at this time, this was obviously the opponent's killing move, so he still had to avoid it. After the thought flashed through his mind, Jia Yan instantly took a step back. He planned to be cautious, this blow must be avoided. Jia Yan took a step back and entered the subspace. Having reached stellar level strength, the entire speed and smoothness are completely different when entering subspace. Even in the subspace, Jia Yan no longer had to be afraid of some twisting and turbulent flows that Jia Yan thought he had to be careful about, but just hit them head on. At such a speed, the speed at which he retreated into subspace was naturally not comparable to what he had done before. But just as he retreated into the subspace, thinking that you can escape by hiding in subspace is delusional. After Kong Ping released the black feather, her whole body seemed to lose a lot of breath. When she saw Jia Yan escaping into the subspace instantly, she thought, and the black brilliance that the feather turned into actually turned around and chased into the subspace. What? Jia Yan, who was in the subspace, was shocked. This black light can actually chase into the subspace, and its speed is no slower than his subspace-gifted creature. This made Jia Yan even more wary. No matter what, he was unwilling to let this black light hit him. He began to move around in the subspace, making various evasive movements quickly. And the black light was like a little snake that took a fancy to Jia Yan and refused to let go. No matter how Jia Yan avoided it, it chased him all the way. Damn it, why can this guy move so fast in subspace? Not only was Jia Yan shocked, but Kong Ping, who was outside the subspace, was also extremely shocked by Jia Yan's speed in the subspace. She kept chasing with her mind-controlled black light, but the black light seemed powerful, but the energy inside seemed to be consumed very quickly. After chasing for less than a minute, Kong Ping's face had changed. No, it seems that my talented wing feathers can't stand him anymore. If the energy of the wing feathers is exhausted, I will be in danger. Let's go. As a star-level warrior with rich combat experience, temporarily retreating is not something to be ashamed of. What's more, the current Jia Yan is also a star-level warrior. Kong Ping doesn't feel any shame in escaping in front of him. This black light is so sticky, Kong Ping is actually running away. In the subspace, Jia Yan felt extremely unhappy after feeling the black light from behind that was constantly chasing after him but could not get rid of it. However, at a certain moment, he suddenly sensed that Kong Ping from the outside world actually began to fly quickly towards the outside of Taiya Kingdom. In the previous battle with Jia Yan, Kong Ping used her true body, but if she returned to her battleship, she could fight or escape. The speed of the battleship was already faster than that of ordinary strong men, let alone her dedicated battleship, then it's definitely going to be trickier. Do you want to escape? I finally attracted you here, but I won't give up easily. Jia Yan was gradually getting familiar with his nascent stellar power in the battle, and he also understood Kong Ping's fighting style to a certain extent. At this time, he gradually gained a chance of victory. How could he give up the pursuit? Bang! When this thought flashed through his mind, Jia Yan decisively jumped out of the subspace. Although the black light behind him chased quickly, its speed was the same as Jia Yan, or even slightly worse. As the energy disappeared, it chased farther and farther. Why? Even my gifted wings can't do anything to this guy. Kong Ping, who was escaping from the front, saw that the black light from behind could not pursue Jia Yan, and he felt helpless and despair flashed through his heart. It's obviously only a little bit close, and his battleship is right in front. If we use fighting methods when the time comes, we might still have a chance to escape. She felt that her power was getting weaker and weaker, and a deep sense of despair enveloped her heart. In this battle, she could deeply feel that Jia Yan was not familiar with stellar power at all, and even his true combat power may not have been displayed even for 5 CDs, but in this kind of battle, she still fell into the situation. Kind of situation. Thinking back, aside from Jia Yan's unique methods, Jia Yan was able to suppress her because of his foundation. The physical strength is so terrible, and the fighting endurance is so terrible. I almost have no energy, but he is still alive and kicking. What kind of race is this Jia Yan? It's terrible. Kong Ping glanced helplessly behind her, her eyes were about to flash with some kind of light, and she was about to use some combat skills. Puff! Just when she didn't expect it, space crack suddenly opened next to her. This crack was extremely small. Because of its small size, Kong Ping had never noticed its appearance before. The creatures that flew out of it were also extremely small. However, this small figure does not mean that he cannot play a decisive role in the current battle. This tiny figure is the clone of Jia Yan who hid in the subspace before. What? When the clone suddenly appeared, Kong Ping was shocked. She had never expected that a clone of a mere sub-level would dare to appear in front of a star. However, Jia Yan's tactics have always been bold, and he has no cherishment for his clones. When Kong Ping discovered Jia Yan's clone, because her energy was greatly weakened and she was focused on dealing with Jia Yan's real body, she was not aware that the clone hit her directly on the side of her body. Ah! Jia Yan's clone punched, although the damage was not great, it still caused the weak Kong Ping to pause for a moment. Normally, Kong Ping wouldn't have even glanced at this blow, and even the counter-attack of his own energy could directly turn the clone into powder. But at this fatal moment, it was completely different. The clone hit Kong Ping with a punch, and his own arm was directly shattered by the rebound of the star-level powerhouse's protective energy. However, because Kong Ping had exhausted her energy, this counter-shock did not directly kill the clone. After Kong Ping was stunned for a moment, the clone exploded with all its strength and hid in the subspace again. At this time, Kong Ping no longer had any thoughts of revenge and killing the clone. Because of this momentary pause, she was directly caught up by Jia Yan's real body in front of her. Jia Yan, I don't want those two treasures anymore. How about letting go of our grudge? Kong Ping hurriedly yelled. At this moment, facing Jia Yan, who was still bigger than her, she felt like she was out of her mind. But no matter how stupid Jia Yan is, he will not listen to her words. At this moment, he arrived in front of Kong Ping with almost unbelievable speed. A pair of compound eyes looked deeply at the stellar powerhouse who was the first to offend him and then forced him to flee to the genius battlefield. It can be said that Kong Ping's pressure made Jia Yan what he is today. If it weren't for her, Jia Yan might not have been able to reach such strength so quickly. But this is not the reason for Jia Yan to forgive her. Okay, let's settle the grievances of many years today. An extremely dazzling blue light emerged from Jia Yan's forefoot, and then stirred up the wind and clouds, triggering a resonance in the surrounding dark space, and stabbed at the peacock creature in front of him. You! Kong Ping was extremely shocked and wanted to summon up all her strength to resist, but she found that her power consumption was too huge and she could not release much at this time. Watching helplessly, Jia Yan's stabbing foot penetrated deeply into her mind. Kong Ping felt that for a moment, the whole world was completely turned upside down. The surrounding sounds disappeared. She seemed to have returned to the past. As a genius, although she did not go to the genius battlefield, the creatures around her said that she had at least a medium talent level. In terms of brainwave training, she was also among the top in the clan, and even finally, amid the blessings of everyone, it reached the stellar level. Only after arriving at the star did she discover the real world. That is, her talent is only as high as that of a star, and even reaching the mid-level of a star requires a lot of hard work. As a genius, how could she be willing to waste time in the junior ranks of the stars? So she gathered information everywhere, hoping to obtain a way to a higher star level. But the hard work paid off, and after searching tirelessly, she found out that there was a mysterious star in this chaotic star field, and there might be treasures left by galaxy-level powerhouses on it. She originally didn't know the specific location of the mysterious star, but one time, a subordinate said that a creature with powerful talent in the chaotic star field had reached the mysterious star, and the specific location of the mysterious star was also conveyed to her ears. Next, she never thought that she would have too much entanglement with the legendary genius creature. Instead, she hurriedly came to the Northern Star Territory and even met with another member of the mercenary organization. After winning the stellar battle, he was about to get the treasures on the two mysterious stars. But she didn't expect that the legendary gifted creature, who in her eyes could only be regarded as an insignificant person, would jump out at the critical moment and snatch away the two treasures she was about to get. She hated for more than 10 years. But these 10 years of hatred have caused her to be in another situation now. Die. Puff. A loud bang. The replay of death ends here. A majestic stellar powerhouse, a female creature with peerless splendor, died under the thrust of Jia Yan's forefoot. Mobile phone users, please browse and read for a better reading experience. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1246. Genius remembers love male sign go divided by Xiao. Talk rightward arrow net in 1 second to provide you with wonderful novels to read. Starry Sky. It seemed like the entire universe had gone silent. Only the scene of a huge dark flying creature stabbing a gorgeous peacock on its foot seems to have become eternal. At this moment, all the creatures around were watching this battle. Whether it's from the Whitebird Battle Hall or from the Taiya Kingdom. Whether it's the commander of the Whitebird War Hall or Kama of the Pacific Kingdom. At this moment, it seemed as if he had forgotten to breathe and was completely stunned, looking at this extremely astonishing scene. Kong Ping, the stellar powerhouse of Whitebird Battle Hall, a well-known being who has achieved stardom for a long time and is even known as a genius, actually fell into the hands of Jia Yan. You must know that Kong Ping had made great achievements in killing other forces at the star level before this. But now, he is actually dead. It's going to be outrageous. In the entire starry sky, countless creatures could hardly turn their heads at this moment, and even the Whitebird War Hall had forgotten to escape. But they reacted quickly. Run away. We are nothing in front of a being who can kill Lord Kong Ping. That's right, run away. Run back and tell the other two adults that if you have a chance, come back to take revenge on Jia Yan. Each and every half-star creature in the Whitebird War Hall, now hating his parents for giving birth to two legs for him, returned to the battleship like the wind, and then urged the battleship to fly at full speed to escape. Fortunately, Jia Yan, who was in the starry sky, had no intention of pursuing him. If you run away, just run away. This battle has consumed me a lot anyway, even if they escape, they won't be able to pose any threat. Jia Yan looked at the starry sky in the distance. The Whitebird Battle Hall fleet was running away like crazy. He wasn't going to chase it. After killing Kong Ping, even Jia Yan now felt weak for a while. He had just been promoted, and even strictly speaking, he could not be considered a complete star at this time, so the consumption of this battle was also extremely huge. Just when Jia Yan was thinking about this, suddenly, his expression was shocked. The black light that had been chasing him in the subspace actually came behind Jia Yan at this moment. After Kong Ping died, it still looked spiritual and struck hard on the surface of Jia Yan's body. Even the azure defense could not completely resist it. Puff. Jia Yan felt a sudden surge of power in his body. Too careless. He was startled, and then he quickly mobilized the power of his body, trying to suppress the energy of the black light injected into his body. It's a pity that although this black light has consumed most of its power in the pursuit, it is still extremely terrifying. Although the total amount of energy was not much, the ferocity of the power still made Jia Yan feel terrified. Temporarily enter the superfast ship to recover and suppress. Jia Yan quickly ignored the aftermath around him and stepped back directly into the subspace, where the superfast ship's hatch had been opened, allowing Jia Yan, who was now large enough to make the space of the superfast ship slightly smaller, step into it. Soon, the starry sky returned to calm again. In addition to the huge star-level corpse, even the surrounding starry sky was completely disrupted due to the battle between the two star-level bodies. This disorder will not be restored for at least a few decades. Unless high-tech means are used, the warships or other aircraft coming here will be caught in the momentum of the battle between the two stellar powerhouses, causing accidents or death. Could it be that the black light just now was Kong Ping's counterattack before he died? Master Jia Yan won't have any problems, right? In Taiya Kingdom, every minister and Kama saw the previous scene, and they were all stunned. They all thought that the previous battle was over, and just like Jia Yan, they relaxed their vigilance, but they did not expect that such a shocking scene would happen next. Lord Jiayan must be fine. Well, I won't care about your attack on the Emperor just now. Now you guys should return to your respective posts quickly. The impact of this battle is too great. Artadia Kingdom to seize the benefits of this event, go quickly. Karma saw that Jiayan could still return to the subspace. Even though she was worried, she knew that Jiayan was probably fine. At this time, her thoughts changed, and the thought of being an empress for more than 10 years made her immediately think of this battle. The benefits that Pacific Asia can reap are coming. One day later, Taia Kingdom took action. That's right, they used the fact that Jiayan was a terrifying star-level person and killed Kong Ping, a star-level expert in the Whitebird War Hall, in full public view, as a breakthrough point to issue a message to the surrounding forces. Orders and paperwork. Previously, under the intimidation of Jiayan's clone, Taia Kingdom had already become domineering once, but now, when Jiayan's real body was revealed to be a star-level body, Taia Kingdom became even more domineering. What? That Jiayan, no, Senior Jiayan, is actually a star-level powerhouse. Oh my god, Taia Kingdom actually has a relationship with a star-level strongman, and this strongman is even in Taia Kingdom now. Quick, we can no longer treat Taia Kingdom like before. You must know that they are now a powerful force with stellar foundation. And this Jiayan is also a terrifying existence that can kill stars of the same level. This is too terrifying. After this battle, Taia States Fox pretended to be powerful, and seized the opportunity. Documents in the form of orders, requirements, etc., flew like snowflakes towards the surrounding forces. Of course, they are not doing it entirely for themselves, but the list of materials they require from other forces also includes most of the materials needed for the construction of the Stargate. Soon, the news about a life and death battle between stellar powerhouses actually broke out in the Northern Star Territory was spread like crazy throughout the Northern Star Territory. Even this kind of transmission is like a virus, quickly spreading to several star fields around the Northern Star Field. Time passed slowly, after 2 months of crazy news spreading around. Jiayan still has not left seclusion. Regarding this point, the senior officials of Taia Kingdom all dismissed various inquiries around him on the grounds that Jiayan was in reclusion. However, including Karma, they all became more and more worried. As for the Stargate, after another 2 months passed, the Stargate finally became stable. Although we don't understand the Earth over there yet, through Senior Jiayan's description, it seems that it won't be a dangerous place. Let's send an envoy there now. Contact the higher UPS on the Earth first. Karma made a decision. So one day, in a huge building on Taia Star, a group of people from Taia Kingdom, and a man who looked smaller than the average Bella tribe, roughly similar in appearance to an Earthling, standing in a very secret place in the building. This is the Stargate building of Taia Kingdom. Different from the Stargate on the Earth that is transformed by the particle energy of Jiayan's clone, the Stargate here needs a stable supply of energy, and most of the structure of the Stargate needs to be stabilized here, so the buildings here are extremely precise. The cost is also huge. Your Majesty the Empress, I will definitely live up to the instructions of you and all the ministers and complete this mission. The man said this respectfully to Kama and several ministers around him. Very good. As long as you can complete the task this time, reach a cooperation agenda with the Earth and convey our goodwill, then when you come back, I will reward you with 2 levels of nobility. Well, time waits for no one, so you can let's go, I and the ministers are waiting for your good news. Karma praised the small-looking man and then motioned for him to leave. Goodbye then, Her Majesty the Empress, and all ministers. The man saluted again, and then stepped into the 10-meter-high light door in front of him. Is this the inside of the light gate? We have to stay in this state for 2 months. When the man entered the light door, he felt dizzy for a while, and then his body seemed to dissolve into a stream of photons, following the energy beside him. However, the power in the stargate did not give him any signs of death. He endured the discomfort and continued to move forward. Earth, what kind of place will it be, he thought expectantly. The kingdom of Tadia sent a messenger to the Earth for the first time through the light gate. This was supposed to be a happy event for the whole country, but the news was blocked by the senior officials. After all, Jia Yan has not left seclusion. If he attracts the attention of any unfriendly forces, it will be troublesome. Fortunately, with the help of a terrifying star, similar things did not happen. While the Bailu man was still on the road, the news about Jia Yan, the star-level star who came to the northern star territory, was still being fermented. Even the news spread further and further. In a place located more than 100 light-years away from the northern star field, there was also a legend about Jia Yan, a star-level person who could kill another star-level powerhouse. Huh? Jia Yan, isn't this the name of the strong man who was recently passed down from our genius battlefield and said he wanted to know about it? In that place more than 100 light-years away from the northern star field, I was. A certain half-star powerhouse who had just received the genius of the star field. After hearing Jia Yan's name, startled slightly. After some hesitation, he picked up the special communicator of the genius battlefield superfast ship. Not long after, somewhere farther away. The name of this place is extremely famous, and its influence can even reach places as far away as 10,000 light-years away. It's called the Genius Battlefield. Oh, I finally got news about the powerful evolved beast, and he actually went to such a remote place. In the Genius Battlefield, inside a very unique and magnificent 1,000-kilometer tall building, a 3-kilometer large creature looked at the information he had just received and smiled. Okay, it's time to go over and see how this guy is doing now. Enemy or friend, mobile phone users please browse and read for a better reading experience. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1247. Genius remembers love male sign go divided by Xiao. Talk rightward arrow net in 1 second to provide you with wonderful novels to read. In the realm of Tadia Kingdom, the huge star-level corpse has been decomposed and studied by some secret units of Tadia Kingdom. In the entire starry sky of Nyada, only the terrifying chaos caused by the battle that day was left. Several of the hundreds of research ships that ventured into this place could never get out, so after Tadia Kingdom reluctantly obtained Kong Ping's body, they made this place a forbidden area with no navigation. Another week passed, and Jia Yan still didn't show up. However, a small figure passed through the subspace and arrived on Tadia Star. His arrival did not attract anyone's attention. Lord Jia Yan? You are indeed fine. Karma is sitting in her office. She is extremely busy with official work these days. After all, the being behind Tadia Kingdom was actually a star-level powerhouse, and he also killed another star-level man. Such a thing was simply a magnitude 12 earthquake in the northern star territory. Countless forces and the higher UPS are extremely afraid of Tadia Kingdom. Even those who have bullied Tadia Kingdom in the past have taken the initiative to send messages and are willing to pay a huge price to repair the relationship between the two parties. Of course Karma is busy for these things. However, when she saw the small figure that suddenly came to her office, Karma stopped what she was doing and smiled sincerely. That's right, the tiny figure is Jia Yan's clone. Well, I'm okay for the time being, but I'm going to be in seclusion for a while recently. How's the Stargate thing going? Jia Yan's clone looks the same as before, but just floating in the air makes people feel a faint pressure that they dare not look directly at. And because of what he had done before, this kind of coercion seemed to be able to cause a huge psychological impact. At least Kama felt out of breath when she saw him, even though she was more than 10 times bigger than Jia Yan's clone. Well, it's okay, sir. The Stargate has been built, and I sent an envoy to the Earth. I don't know if making decisions without permission will affect your plan. Please forgive me. Karma felt that the distance between him and Jia Yan was getting bigger and bigger, and he couldn't help but feel sad, and he felt a little unnatural when he spoke. It's okay, Karma, you did a good job. Jia Yan nodded, seemingly unaware of her expression. He also talked about some of the reactions in the Northern Star territory after his previous battle, and found that nothing was beyond Jia Yan's expectations. A star-level existence, even in a more powerful star field, is an extremely terrifying existence, let alone the Northern Star field where there is no native star-level presence at all. It is strange that the surrounding forces dare not surrender. By the way, how is Shiratori Senta doing now? After Jia Yan asked about other places, he changed the topic and talked about the Whitebird Battle Hall with a strange light in his eyes. Karma looked solemn, knowing that this is what Jia Yan cares about most now. She sorted out her words before speaking slowly. Sir, the Whitebird Battle Hall lost a stellar powerhouse in that battle, and they quickly retreated to their old nest in the center of the Northern Star territory. There was news before that they had already sent the information about this battle back to Whitebird. In the Star region where the War Hall is located, I just don't know how the Whitebird War Hall headquarters in that Star region will respond. Well, I believe they won't go to war easily. At least they won't do anything until they find out who I am. Jia Yan nodded, and the reaction of Bania Zantang was not beyond his expectation. Okay, if there is any progress on the Earth, you can contact me at any time. I will go back to retreat first. After Jia Yan understood everything, he planned to leave. His appearance this time not only understands the situation after the First World War, but also gives Kama or the Pacific Kingdom a shot in the arm. As long as nothing happens to him, the Pacific Kingdom will work harder for him. Master, Jia Yan, don't you want to sit down with me? Sit down and have a chat besides official business. Suddenly, a somewhat awkward voice sounded behind Jia Yan. Jia Yan was startled, and when he turned around, he saw Nakama's face was red, acting like a little girl, which seemed to be very different from her original Empress temperament. Well, I'm really not free right now. Let's talk about it when I'm free. I'm sorry. Jia Yan shook his head with a wry smile. Kama's expression suddenly turned pale. She didn't dare to look at Jia Yan's expression and just pretended to cough naturally. Well, I know. Mr. Jia Yan, you can go and do your work. I was just saying casually. After Jia Yan left for a while, Kama sat back on her throne blankly. She shook her head bitterly, not knowing why she was so bold and suddenly said such words. Maybe it feels like the distance between the two parties is getting farther and farther? Or something else? Alas, I don't even understand myself. Karma looked helplessly at the place where Jia Yan left, with a hint of melancholy and pessimism in his eyes. But after all, she is the Empress who controls 30 billion people. After a moment of emotional imbalance, she quickly regained her composure. Jia Yan, on the other hand, didn't take this matter too seriously. Although he vaguely understood Kama's special affection for him more than 10 years ago, he didn't want to be tainted by this emotion. He already had enough headaches because there was a Satsuma shrine at home that he had no connection with. If he provoked Her Majesty the Empress, it would be really troublesome. Of course, the most important problem is that he understands his own thoughts, which is to become a top strong man. In addition, he is actually a giant mosquito, so it is impossible for him to have an interracial relationship. Although interracial love is not big news in the universe, Jia Yan cannot accept it. Don't think about it. After leaving Taia Star, Jia Yan dived into subspace. Of course he could have entered the subspace right in the palace, but he only entered the subspace by deliberately dangling in front of people, and even showed his face in front of a group of diplomatic envoys' spaceship. This is his purpose, at least to let the people around him know that his star-level existence is still alive, so that Taya Kingdom will not be so vain in dealing with the surrounding forces. Tearing apart the subspace, Jia Yan entered the superfast ship inside. In the superfast ship, the real body is quietly lying on the ground. After entering the superfast ship, Jia Yan's clone immediately stopped moving, and Jia Yan completely took back the mental power in the clone to his real body. Huh, that black light is really powerful. Fortunately, when it hit me that day, it had lost a lot of energy, otherwise I might really be seriously injured. Jia Yanzhen moved his body, feeling a sharp pain in his body at this time, and couldn't help feeling slightly solemn. The battle with Kongping was Jia Yan's first battle with a star-level powerhouse after he became a star. He originally thought that since he had gone through so many hardships and opportunities to become a star, his strength must be very high at the star level. Although it turns out that what he thought was right, he had just reached the stellar level and had not even passed the stable period yet, and he was able to kill Kongping, a veteran of the first level stellar level. But in fact, Jia Yan was still injured, and it was almost a serious injury. But no matter what, now the power of black light has been slowly worn away by me, and even some of the stellar level combat energy changes contained in it have been thoroughly studied by me. Although I cannot use this change principle in the same way, it has a certain effect on my stellar path, helps a lot. Jia Yan felt the strength of his body with satisfaction. As soon as the mutation was completed, he directly fought with Kongping. To be honest, he was not even used to the abnormal feeling of his body becoming larger at that time. To win in that state was already extremely rare in his opinion. After that, he went straight into an injured state. After several months of repairs, he had no time to fully feel his star-level strength and changes. But now that his injury is stable and the outside world is okay for the time being, he has time to start studying his current self. Star level. A strange light flashed in his compound eyes, and Jia Yan felt the power of his body. Although he was injured, his movements had a different power than before. My body suddenly expanded from more than 100 meters to a kilometer in size. This does not include the feet. If the feet were spread out, my body shape could even cover a radius of 6 kilometers. This is no longer something that can be described by size. That's it? 6 kilometers, that is, 6,000 meters. The highest mountain on the earth, Mount Everest, is more than 7,000 meters above sea level. His single creature has reached the length of one level of Mount Everest. It's normal for a star to reach such a huge size. I just suddenly jumped from the venerable level to the size of a star. My senses are temporarily unable to adapt. I will be able to adapt after a while. And what I need to pay attention to is the powerful change in strength. In addition to the huge changes in his body, Jia Yan also thought about his current strength. Thinking of this, he felt happy for a while. Being able to defeat a star level openly and even kill the opponent, for Jia Yan, is the best reason to prove that he is now powerful. Not only am I now terrifyingly powerful in my body's exoskeleton, but my subspace talent has also reached a certain limit. It seems that if I take another step forward, I will be able to break through the current 6-dimensional depth of subspace. Last time, the scientist from the Pacific Kingdom gave me my formula, seems to be my next opportunity. There is also brainwave power. It seems that after reaching the star level, my brainwave power has also compressed. I have felt the star level field several times, and I have some vague insights. Maybe it won't be long before I can also to be able to form your own domain. You must know that this is one of the greatest means of stellar level. As for more powerful unique means, I also have a few more. One of them is the blue defense that has always given me tough defense. The second unique method is that after the tree root-like object combined with my body cells, it caused my body to convert part of the antimatter, almost like a bomb with supreme destructive power during battle. Thinking of several methods, Jia Yan almost smiled with satisfaction. Mobile phone users, please browse and read for a better reading experience. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1248. Genius remembers love male sign go divided by Xiao. Talk rightward arrow net in 1 second to provide you with wonderful novels to read. After reaching the star level, it should be a completely new realm. There is almost no one at this level who is not a genius. Upward arrow downward arrow www.ai-chu. Jia Yan was able to maintain his previous strength after arriving at the star, and was even able to kill an old star powerhouse without being familiar with his new body. This was a strength that made him extremely satisfied. But I can't relax. After the previous battle, I also know very clearly how terrible the star level is. Even if you have all the advantages, you may still be overturned by the opponent, because every star level strong person will have his own trump card. What's more, my future enemy will be that living Qu. Jia Yan's heart still sank when he thought of Huoku. Even though he had escaped from the opponent twice, even when he had not reached the star level, the overwhelming strength of the opponent still made Jia Yan extremely afraid. I don't know if I can resist his strength after I stabilize the stellar realm. In short, I can't relax now. I still have to improve my strength. After arriving at the star, Jia Yan's only unhappiness was that Edisha was not around. If she were there, then Jia Yan would have at least one person to guide him on the way forward. But it's coming soon. A few months have passed. If everything goes well, Edisha will also go to the Northern Star Territory. After Jia Yan thought for a while, he no longer thought about other issues, but immersed himself in it, continuing to repair his injuries and try to improve his strength. Stellar level. Stellar level does not mean that it has obtained the power of a star. After all, as a star, no matter how powerful a creature is, it is unlikely to reach the power of a star. Anyway, Jia Yan has never heard of any creature that can possess the power of even the weakest star. As the name suggests, a star-level powerhouse actually has the power of fusion cells similar to stars in the body of a powerhouse. Nuclear fusion is the ultimate power that can produce light, and even planets and life in the entire universe. Of course, stellar powerhouses are not really able to perform nuclear fusion within their bodies, but it is similar. Is this the fusion-like power of the body after reaching the star level? I can feel that the body of my evolved beast seems to be undergoing a fusion-like reaction all the time, and then this reaction can bring me the power of the star. No wonder the star level is a level of biological strength. Those who are weaker than the star, even the pseudo-star level, are unlikely to defeat the weakest star level beyond the level, because the star level is different from the star. The creatures below are already fundamentally different. While Jia Yan was repairing his body, he felt his stellar physique. The more he feels it, the more comfortable he becomes with stellar strength. While Jia Yan continued his retreat, the changes around him continued. The appearance of a star, or even a semi-permanent presence, would be an earth-shattering event for any small star field. The same is true for the Northern Star Territory. With the emergence of Jia Yan, a terrifying being who can even kill another star, the power of the entire star territory is like an undercurrent. No one can sit still, no matter who is seeking refuge. Those from the Pacific Kingdom are still opposed to the Pacific Kingdom, and there are even forces that were destroyed by the shock caused by the rise of the Pacific Kingdom, and they all appear from time to time. However, the country of Tadia, which is at the center of the vortex, has completely stabilized recently, and can even be said to be extremely comfortable. The surrounding forces are extremely flattering to the Tadia kingdom. Several forces around the Tadia kingdom even gave up a large amount of planets and soil, saying it was filial piety. Of course, the orthodox reasons cannot be so obvious. In short, they did just that, in exchange for certain promises from Asia. Although Tadia Kingdom has always been bullied before, but now it has transformed into a powerful force, it does not look unfamiliar at all. As soon as it got Xingtu, it rushed there and started construction. The plan that Jia Yan wants to carry out in the future is best if it has the support of the huge planet and Earth, which is why Tadia Kingdom is so ugly. But even if they are so jealous, no force in the Northern Star territory jumps out to point fingers. Even the top forces in the center of the Northern Star territory shut up at this time. The reason is none other than the Jia Yan behind Tadia Kingdom, who completely surpasses the imagination of these forces. Even behind these top forces, only one or two have a star-level powerhouse in charge. They face Jia Yan, who was able to kill another star-level powerhouse, did not kneel down and sing about conquest like those weak forces, which is already very good. All in all, there were no big surprises, except that Tadia country slowly transformed from a small and weak country to a dominant power in the Northern Star region. Another month has passed. On this day, a 40-kilometer battleship that reached a terrifying level arrived at the Northern Star region from an unknown distance in a dusty journey. Is this the star field where Jia Yan is hiding? It's pitiful that a top genius has to hide in such a desolate star field for promotion. Wouldn't it be great to be promoted in my genius battlefield? Why are you running away? Inside this huge battleship, a 3-kilometer-sized creature looked at the scenery outside the battleship and almost sighed. Next to him was another dark flying creature that was several kilometers in size. Oh, you don't know Jia Yan yet. If you have met him, you will understand that this guy is wary by nature. Presumably because he was born as an evolved beast, he is also wary of our genius battlefield, so he does not hesitate to come here. Plant a place and get promoted. The dark flying creature shook its head and helped Jia Yan explain. Two huge unmatched creatures were talking while controlling a huge warship with a terrifying level, heading towards the central area of the Northern Star territory. That's right, these two creatures are exactly two stellar powerhouses from the genius battlefield. Moreover, these two stars are still familiar figures to Jia Yan. However, it seems a bit far-fetched to say that both of them are familiar with each other, because one of them is a genius battlefield existence that Jia Yan is familiar with, Longta. On the other side, he was familiar with Jia Yan, but Jia Yan didn't know him at all. The one who had been chasing Jia Yan back and forth since he was a venerable Jia Yan, but had never really seen Jia Yan. Genius battlefield stellar level. I ran from Tingtian Pavilion to Tianhe Force, and from Tianhe Force to Tingtian Pavilion. I shed tears when I talk about it. Precisely because they were familiar with Jia Yan, the task of traveling this time fell on the two of them. And the title they carry is Messenger, and they actually represent the genius battlefield to meet and observe Jia Yan. When I meet Jia Yan this time, I want to ask him carefully. 200,000 years have passed since the war between the founders of the genius battlefield and the evolved beast clan. What is he still afraid of? He doesn't mind that we are victims. Why does he mind? The star who had been following Jia Yan for a long time seemed a little angry at Jia Yan. But Longta was different. He seemed to agree with Jia Yan's approach. I don't agree with what you are saying. The attitude of the senior officials of our genius battlefield towards his evolved beast is really a bit subtle. If he had revealed the identity of the evolved beast clan before, he might end up like this now. What will happen? That's all. In short, he is now at the star level. According to historical data, when the evolved beast reaches the star level, unless it is killed with overwhelming strength, it is almost impossible to stop his growth, right? If we come here this time, if he with the correct attitude, won't those senior executives who are interested in Jia Yan give up their hostility? Anyway, I don't have any hostility towards Jia Yan. Me too, I watched this kid grow up, and I even brought him to the central star area of the genius battlefield. Longta said that he had helped Jia Yan, and he felt proud for a while. While the two star-level powerhouses were talking, the battleship, which was huge but had a disproportionate speed, had already crossed the endless space and entered the northern star field near the kingdom of Tadia. On this day, the territory of Tadia Kingdom was busy. In the past few months, the originally relatively peaceful Tadia country has turned into a busy and huge port country, with supplies full of resources constantly being transported to Tadia. However, after these materials were transported in, almost no one came out again. Tadia, which began to develop vigorously, used its own technological power in a short period of time to digest the materials transported from the surroundings and then transformed them into its own strength. As for why they have so much money, in fact, it is very simple. There is an iron rule in the interstellar world, and that is a powerful force. No matter what their status was before and how sluggish the national currency was, when they become a powerful force, the national currency will rise like a rocket. Rapid appreciation. Although this will have a huge impact on that country's export industry, surrounding forces will come to buy a large amount of that country's national debt, just like the Stars and Stripes, a powerful superstate before the Earth, relying on the hegemonic Stars and Stripes monetary policy. The whole country does not need to produce, and only relies on playing with currency to maintain the strength of the entire country. Note. The same was true for the Pacific country at this time. When it became stronger, its monetary policy started to play. Not only did it not need to produce, but relying on a temporary strong increase, it not only imported a large amount, but even had a surplus. Your Majesty, the newly received star number 5 has completely built 3 cities. The rulers of several major forces have come to congratulate them on behalf of their forces. Well, you don't need me to come and receive you in person, right? There is no need for such a small force. The head of state of our country received it in the past with a total loss of face. Now, unless a high-level force like the mercenary organization comes, I need your personal interview. That's good, haha, your roles have changed very quickly. In the past, I had to personally meet every one of these forces, no matter whether they were big or small officials. Now you actually even make the decision when the leaders of other forces come over. It's really a good adaptability to not have to be interviewed by me. In the palace of Tadia Kingdom, a group of ministers and who was sitting in a high position, were chatting and laughing about political affairs. Recently, Tadia officials, whether it is or the junior officials, spend almost every day smiling. Note, regarding the Star-Spangled Banner's use of currency to stay strong, if you are interested, you can read the relevant articles for yourself. Baiyu will not go into details. In short, it is a trick to deceive the whole world, and it is not enough if you don't play with him, and you can directly start a war. Beat you. Thanks to Xiao Xi and Jingdu, stars. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1249. The country's national popularity and strength have exploded like a rocket in recent times. This explosion is like the Earth before, benefiting everyone in the entire country. /U0026/U0026/U0026.lxs520.com. Faced with this situation, it is difficult for everyone in Tadia Kingdom not to laugh. Your Majesty, it's a good thing that Master Jia Yan showed up last time. Otherwise, many powerful people would wonder if Master Jia Yan had any physical problems last time. Regarding this, Lord Jia Yan hasn't shown up yet. It's probably because of some inconvenience. In any case, the things promised to Lord Jia Yan must be completed as soon as possible, and according to Lord Jia Yan's words, contact the Earth. If so, it's also a good thing for us. As for the Tadia Kingdom, almost the whole country regards Jia Yan as their guardian. Most people regard Jia Yan as if they are worshipping gods, and place Jia Yan's status at a very high level. Your Majesty, something big has happened. Suddenly, in the palace of Tadia Kingdom, a sudden sound rang in the ears of the ministers and Queen Kama. What's wrong? Kama hadn't heard such a panicked voice for a long time. When he heard it, his heart suddenly skipped a beat, and he pretended to be calm and looked at the intruding soldier. That's so bold. You can easily disturb Her Majesty the Queen? If you can't tell the big news, just wait to be punished. A minister said this to the soldier with the intention of flattering Kama. However, Kama did not appreciate it, but stared at the soldier. Your Majesty, there are 2 people outside our country in Pacific Asia who claim to be. The soldier was so nervous that he could hardly finish his words. What is it? Tell me, the talkative minister snorted with an ugly face. He is a star-level powerhouse. Both of them said that they are star-level existences and want to see Lord Jia Yan. The soldier was forced to panic and yelled out quickly. Star-level? 2 more. This is impossible. Several ministers were almost stunned by the news, and they all looked at the soldier in disbelief. But that soldier definitely seemed to have no reason to deceive them. In this case, the news of the arrival of 2 stellar powerhouses would be true. 2 stars, why didn't we get any news? Is it because they just arrived in the northern star territory and came straight to our country of Taia, so there is no news? Could it be that their goal is Master Jia Yan? There are 2 star levels, and there is still 1 star level left for Bania Zantang. Could it be them? No way, the 2 stars of Bania Zantang are actually take the initiative to fight. That's not right. If they come to cause trouble for Lord Jia Yan, they won't report anything to our Taia kingdom. Almost every minister chewed the news in disbelief, and then turned to look at their biggest leader, the Empress Kama. They don't dare to express their opinions randomly when it concerns His Excellency Jia Yan. 2 stars? Did they use violence against you, and what was their attitude? Kama thought for a moment, then asked the soldier directly. Back to Empress, they didn't use violence against us, and their attitude was quite friendly. The soldier thought about it for a while before responding. Phew! After hearing this, Karma breathed a sigh of relief. Don't worry, everyone. Lord Jia Yan is a star-level person. It's not surprising that he had some star-level friends before. But since 2 star-level highnesses are here, we can't lose our etiquette. I'll inform you immediately. Mr. Jia Yan, I'll see you later. Kama said to the ministers under the throne. Of course it is, the matters between Mr. Jia Yan and the 2 stellar adults are important. Farewell to your Majesty the Empress. When a group of ministers sent him away, Kama frowned slightly, came to the back of the meeting hall, and immediately took out the independent communicator. She was not as calm as she said, but felt slightly nervous. Although the soldiers said that the other party is relatively friendly, a star-level existence would not show any likes and dislikes to ordinary soldiers. Now that he is friendly to you, he might just treat you as an ant, and Kama said before that Jia Yan is hung stars. Maybe I know some star-level words, but they cannot withstand scrutiny. After all, Jia Yan obviously showed his star-level body for the first time in Taia Kingdom. Even if he was strong before, but there should still be a certain gap between it and the real stellar level. How can it be possible to have good relations with the stellar level? Sir, I have something to report. This is what happened. Karma connected to the communication, and after hearing the voice on the other side, the tension in his heart relaxed slightly. After all, even if the sky fell, there would be someone on the other side of the communication device to help resist. What? 2 star levels. On the other end of the communicator is Jia Yan, who is still hiding in the subspace. The communication method between Jia Yan and Kama at this time is a unique communication method specially created for him by the Kingdom of Taia. As long as Jia Yan roughly tells the Kingdom of Taia his location, he can also receive it in the subspace. Communication signals to the outside world. Hearing Kama's report at this time, Jia Yan was also shocked. He also immediately thought of the 2 stellar powerhouses from the White Bird Battle Hall. You came so quickly. Don't these two people from the Whitebird War Hall have any fear of me? Jia Yan's mind wandered, and then the sparkle in his eyes flashed away. Please activate the protection in all directions of Taia Kingdom. I will go see them. Jia Yan thought for a while and realized that this matter could not be avoided. He said this to Kama and then closed the communication. It's a pity that my body is still a little bit more stable. But even if my current combat power reaches its peak for a while, it is still enough to face ordinary dangers. If it is 2-star levels. Inside the superfast ship, Jia Yan's eyes flashed again, and then with a thought, the superfast ship started moving in the subspace. The direction in which the superfast ship was sailing was suddenly the border of the Pacific Kingdom. Jia Yan was confident that he could escape in front of the 2 stars. He even thought that he was much stronger now than when he fought Kong Ping a few months ago. If there was a chance, he would say maybe facing 2 ordinary star beginners, there might be a chance of winning. This is the reason why he dared to come alone to face 2 stars. However, when Jia Yan drove the super-fast ship to the border location mentioned by Kama, he was slightly startled. Because they saw that one of the 2 powerful men waiting at the border was actually an acquaintance. It's actually Longta, he was extremely surprised. At this time, the entire border port of the Pacific Kingdom was blocked. Although many supply ships from various countries and forces were queuing up behind them, they were completely blocked by the border agencies of the Pacific Kingdom. You know, these are 2 major stars. And right in the middle of the area that was surrounded by millions of kilometers of open space, a huge 40-kilometer battleship that reached the terrifying level that Jia Yan saw for the first time was parked in the starry sky. On one side of the battleship, 2 equally astonishing creatures stood side by side in the void. It seems to be waiting for something. Just when Jia Yan arrived at the border, suddenly the 2 creatures simultaneously looked towards the direction of the subspace where Jia Yan was coming. Haha, Jia Yan, since you're here, come out and see me. Among the 2 creatures, the one who was more than 2 kilometers away, had a dark skin, and was also a flying creature, said lightly to the direction of Jia Yan. This Longta actually found my location easily. It seems that the star-level powerhouses in the Genius battlefield are indeed different. Moreover, Longta seems to be of high talent, and his strength is certainly higher than that of ordinary star-level ones. Much more powerful. In the subspace, Jia Yan was shocked at first and then felt relieved when Longta called him to his hiding place. As a Genius star-level powerhouse in the Genius battlefield, if he is not more powerful than ordinary star-level powerhouses, Jia Yan is disappointed with the Genius battlefield. After all, he himself is considered to be from the Genius battlefield. With a chuckle, this laughter spread throughout thousands of kilometers with the help of brainwave power. Then Jia Yan opened the door of the superfast ship and then the real body moved for a while, expelling the discomfort that had been lingering for a long time, and then took another step forward. Out of subspace. Huh. Is this Jia Yan? The expressions of the 2 strong men waiting outside the subspace changed slightly at this time, and then they looked at Jia Yan who was stepping out. In Jia Yan's eyes, they are extremely powerful and powerful Genius stars, but at this time, Jia Yan is not the same in the eyes of the other party. In his heart, Longta always regarded Jia Yan as the genius from the 132nd Star District whom he invited to the Central Star District. Even in his memory, Jia Yan's stature should be extremely small. But now he was shocked when he saw Jia Yan's body and pressure after his promotion. Because he never thought that a genius who was so weak and in need of his care more than 10 years ago would actually reach such a terrifying stage. Even before coming here, although he knew about Jia Yan's promotion and that Jia Yan had killed a stellar powerhouse, he still regarded him as the little flying creature he was back then. But now that he saw the fact, he was slightly shocked, because Jia Yan really exceeded his expectations. The creature on the other side, which Jia Yan had never seen before, was looking at Jia Yan with the same shock. This stellar powerhouse, as a genius in the battlefield, has been pursuing Jia Yan, and then relying on Jia Yan's talent to receive rewards. This is the first time to see Jia Yan himself, and it will not be shocking at all. It is smaller than Long Tower. Is this Jia Yan? It's indeed an evolved beast. It's terrifying. His body is so perfect. Why are there such terrifying and perfect creatures in the world? He was almost stunned. Please remember the first domain name of this book. VIP Chinese. Mobile version reading website. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1250. Genius remembers love male sign go divided by Xiao. Talk rightward arrow net in 1 second to provide you with wonderful novels to read. Between the star level, even if they just see each other's body, they can roughly distinguish the basic condition of the other party's body. At this time, when they saw Jia Yan, the two geniuses in the battlefield star level, they could tell almost immediately the perfection and flawlessness that can only be possessed by an evolved beast creature like Yan. Moreover, Jia Yan is said to be more perfect than other legendary evolutionary beast predecessors. After all, he had used the biochemical mediation stone before, optimizing his genes to the most extreme level when he was at the original venerable level. This kind of perfection, coupled with the unique genetic perfection of the evolved beasts, makes Jia Yan as dazzling as a treasure in front of any star. I have met two adults. Jia Yan was not as shocked as the two star-level men. When he saw the two star-level powerhouses, they were all shocked by his appearance. He couldn't help but smile, and then saluted them. Ahem, Jia Yan, since you are already a star and have similar strength to us, you don't need to call us adults. Just call me Longta. As for this one, you can call him Luo Beiju. When Jia Yan opened his mouth, Longta suddenly came to his senses. After all, he was a star. After a while, he smiled awkwardly and politely introduced hung around him. Star powerhouses are coming. Hello, Jia Yan, I've noticed you a long time ago, but unfortunately, I didn't get to meet you until today. Luo Beiju also showed friendly intentions towards Jia Yan. This made Jia Yan even more worried. After all, if the other party has a tough attitude, then it is inevitable that they will turn against each other. If the attitude is like this, no matter what the other party is here for, there should be room for change. Unless absolutely necessary, he was unwilling to antagonize Nyoda's genius battlefield. After all, it would be too scary. Two adults, my information is special. I believe that the two adults already know my true identity. It was helpless to leave without saying goodbye before. Please forgive me. I don't know why you two came here today. Jia Yan had no intention of arguing with the two of them. Since he saw that the other party was not malicious, he went straight to the point. Haha, Jia Yan, you are impatient. This time we came here because of the opinions of the top officials of Genius Battlefield. Seeing that Jia Yan was so direct and didn't even entertain the idea of entertaining them to sit in Taia Kingdom, Long Ta suddenly had a better understanding of this genius evolutionary beast's views. He doesn't act sloppily and is neither arrogant nor impetuous. Only with such a genius mentality can he grow to such a terrifying situation, right? Before Long Ta could finish speaking, Luo Beiju on the other side snatched the right to speak. Jia Yan, you also know your identity. In short, the senior leaders of our battlefield do not completely distrust you. Even if you think that our genius battlefield will be malicious towards the evolved beasts, it is completely wrong. After all, what happened in the past 200,000 years have passed, the time is different now, and there is no friction between the two sides, so we will not deal with you. It seemed that Luo Beiju had no choice but to grab his own words. Longta looked helplessly at the other party, but he didn't grab any more words. Then two seniors, since the genius battlefield official won't hold me accountable, then why are you here? Jia Yan became more and more confused about the rhetoric of the two stars. Jia Yan, you have been in the genius battlefield for a relatively short time. You may not know that in our genius battlefield, we generally have genius missions, but those who are relatively weak or whose genius level is not at a higher level will not be released. Just like the genius battle against the stellar field that you participated in when you were the master, it was a genius mission for some well-known geniuses in the genius field. And you have reached the stellar level in the genius battlefield. During this period, you have not received any genius missions. For reasons, you should help me carry out several genius missions in the genius battlefield in the end. You will not deny this. Bar. Longta has a better relationship with Jia Yan, so it was up to him to say these words. Genius mission? I really don't know much about it. Jia Yan was startled, and then thought about it, and it seems that this is really the case. In the genius battlefield, many high-level geniuses will participate. Genius mission officially created by Genius Battlefield. And in the Genius Battlefield, although it seemed that he had fought and died on his own to obtain materials and opportunities, in fact, I don't know how many of them were things that the Genius Battlefield deliberately distributed to the geniuses in the battlefield. He was able to obtain it, to put it bluntly, because of the cultivation of the Genius Battlefield. Regarding this point, no matter how he quibbles, it is useless. Jia Yan was silent for a while, then after thinking for a while, he finally nodded. Speaking of which, I have indeed never returned to the genius battlefield. So tell me what the so-called genius mission is. If it does not involve too serious safety issues, I am still willing to carry out the genius mission. Seeing Jia Yan's nod, the two genius battle realm stars looked at each other and seemed to be slightly relieved. You must know that one of their missions here is to test Jia Yan. If Jia Yan, an evolutionary beast, is also entangled with what happened 200,000 years ago, then he will rise to the level of an enemy in the genius battlefield. After all, if you hold a grudge, this kind of talent is unbelievable. You may reach high-level star level at some time, and you may rush to the genius battlefield to wreak havoc. If the test fails and what is found is that Jia Yan may still hold a grudge and wants to avenge his kindness to genius battlefield, then the two of them will really take action against Jia Yan. After all, it is better to kill such a possible enemy as soon as possible. It's best in the bud. After Longta breathed a sigh of relief, he smiled sincerely. It's like this. After a while, it will be the day when our genius battlefield will have a new genius competition with that stellar academic field. Our genius battlefield would like to invite you to be a stellar class escorting geniuses in our genius battlefield. Strong ones, come with me and Ludo Beja to the Stellar Academy. Is it that simple? Then I agree. Jia Yan was startled. How difficult and dangerous do you think it is? No matter how dangerous it is, you probably won't participate, Longta said to Jia Yan with a wry smile. Since Jia Yan was willing to participate, the two stars became friendly and discussed the specific time and matters with Jia Yan before returning to the huge battleship. Jia Yan watched them leave the border of Taya Kingdom again. These two guys came here just to say these things to me? Haha, I'd be surprised if I believed them. After they left, Jia Yan breathed a sigh of relief. He fully knew that if he had made any mistakes in the exchange between himself and the other party, it would probably not be such a harmonious situation now, but a war might have started. Both of them are genius-level star-level powerhouses in the genius battlefield. Even if they are both beginners, their strength must not be underestimated. At least I saw Longta and Huoka fighting with my own eyes, although they certainly cannot survive. But now there is no sign of any injuries, which means that he can still have a certain ability to protect himself in the hands of Huo Qiu. Of course, this may also have something to do with Huo Chu not being able to make heavy attacks in the genius battlefield. In short, if I had really fought with these two guys just now, I would have almost no chance of winning. I am lucky to have escaped. Fortunately, everything is over now. Jia Yan sighed in relief. At the same time, he deepened his powerful thoughts in his mind. I originally thought that when I reached the star level, I would be able to live freely in the world, but I didn't expect that not long after reaching the star level, I actually fought with the extremely powerful Kong Ping and got injured, and now two more star level powerful people came. The attacker came over and threatened himself. This stimulated Jia Yan, and his somewhat lazy mentality returned to a vigilant state again, and he continued to think about ways to improve his strength. Just when Jia Yan wanted to return to the subspace and continue his improvement, his expression suddenly changed. It turned out to be a certain communicator that Jia Yan had been waiting for, and a communication request suddenly appeared. Edisha? Haha, counting the time, it should be the time for it to arrive in the northern star field. I just happened to see 2 stars, and it has arrived. I wonder what Edisha's expression will be like when she sees that I have become a star. Thinking of this, a mischievous expression appeared on Jia Yan's face. Not long after, a ray of light flashed from the border of Taia Kingdom again and disappeared within the territory of Taia Kingdom. This is Jia Yan who left. And just when Jia Yan left Taia Kingdom, the news that he, an extremely powerful star-level expert, actually had 2 star-level experts coming to see Jia Yan, spread like a gust of wind. The entire northern star territory. Lord Jia Yan actually has 2 stellar friends, and they seem to be on good terms. Taia Kingdom is so virtuous and capable that it can actually win the favor of Lord Jia Yan. It would be great if our force also has the favor of such a strong man. This strong man even has stellar friends. That's equivalent to the foundation of the 3 stellar powerhouses. Hey, now it's interesting. I heard before that the Whitebird Warhol forces, it seems that 2 stellar powerhouses are ready to come over and cause trouble for Lord Jia Yan, but now I heard he also has stellar friends. How dare they touch him? The entire northern star region was shocked that Jia Yan actually had a star-level powerhouse come to pay him a visit in Taia Kingdom. After all, as a star-level person, the chances of appearing in the northern star region were extremely rare, and after Jia Yan arrived, they actually saw so many star classes. People in the entire northern star field suddenly felt that star classes were not aloof gods. At least in real life, they might still be able to see them. No matter how the people in the northern star territory discuss themselves, Jia Yan is already moving quickly in the subspace. Soon, he arrived at the Chaos Star territory on the outskirts of the northern star territory. Before he could enter the Chaos Star territory, at the outskirts of the Chaos Star territory, suddenly, a strange-looking aircraft that was 20 kilometers in size slowly jumped out of the space. Thanks to Sol Trikik, book friends rewarded with 500 starting coins. Mobile phone users please browse and read for a better reading experience. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1251. Genius remembers love male sign go divided by Xiao. Talk rightward arrow net in 1 second to provide you with wonderful novels to read. Oh, this Aditha ship is almost the same as before. Jia Yan saw the Aditha in the subspace, and then felt a friendly smile. For him, he spent his days growing from weak to strong on the Edissa. Even if he now reaches the star level, the Edissa will be a powerful support for him. This is more like a kind of family affection. So of course Jia Yan couldn't stop smiling when he saw the Edissa whom he hadn't seen for a long time. But after thinking about it for a while, the mischievous mentality that had not arisen for a long time resurfaced. Then Jia Yan sent his clone out into the subspace, holding the communicator in his hand, and came to the front of the Edissa's route. Not long after, a huge aircraft of about 20 kilometers arrived in front of Jia Yan's clone. Hey, master, why have you changed? You've become smaller. It looks like those clones of you now, but it feels very powerful. It's about half a star level. It's amazing. It's a little stronger than when we were separated. When Jia Yan's clone entered the interior of the Aditha, the small light and shadow mosquito flew in front of Jia Yan and kept circling. As expected, it couldn't tell Jia Yan's true identity, and regarded Jia Yan's clone as his real body. After all, no matter how you look at it, the strength of this clone now is in line with the powerful feeling when we were separated. Especially after the body has a little more star-level pressure, it can confuse people even more. At least Edisha couldn't tell whether Jia Yan was a clone or his real body. "Well, Edisha, did you say anything during the time we were apart?" Jia Yan did not point out, but controlled the clone and came inside the Edisha. As the brain of the Edisha, Edisha naturally has no doubts about her master. To her, no matter what the master has become, she will never dislike or doubt her master, and she will always be extremely loyal. Everything inside the Edissa has hardly changed, and even some of the things he originally placed here are still intact. Upward arrow, downward arrow, www.ai. Sure enough, the answer given by Edisha was in the affirmative. Nothing special happened. Except for the occasional forces who wanted to explore the roots of the Aditha, but I scared them away. There has been nothing else in the past 10 years. Edisha is so pitiful. She hasn't spoken to anyone in more than 10 years. Edisha kept circling around Jia Yan, as if she was being coquettish. "I'll try not to leave your side from now on." "That's okay." Jia Yan shook his head and comforted it. Master, judging from your current strength, you should be able to be promoted to star level soon. I have a lot of documents here. If we work together for a while, maybe you can be promoted in 10 years. Edisha suddenly took out a bunch of electronic screens that looked like books and put them in front of Jia Yan. Jia Yan's clone pretended to pick up an e-book that didn't exist. The book was weightless, but it was magically held in Jia Yan's hands, and then he flipped through a few pages. It is indeed worthy of the experience of our seniors. If I had read this information earlier. Jia Yan gave a bitter smile. If the Edissa had been there when he was promoted, he might not have suffered so much pain. Master, this information is very good. We will soon be able to leap to the star level. Edisha kept flying around Jia Yan, as if she wanted Jia Yan's praise. Jia Yan thought about it and praised it. Edisha did a great job. These books of yours are very useful to me, but they are no longer useful to me now. Why is it useless? Master, did Edissa do something wrong? Don't abandon me, okay. Edissa will be obedient and won't disturb the master's cultivation. Don't abandon Edisha. Okay. Editha was like a child whose mood suddenly changed, and she shed pieces of light rain in the air as if crying. No, Edisha, look, what is this? Jia Yan shook his head, and then suddenly pointed at the starry sky not far from the Edissa. Edisha slowly looked in the direction pointed by Jia Yan's clone. Then, in the starry sky where there was no object, suddenly, there was a burst of space ripples, and an aircraft that seemed to be 2 or 3 kilometers in size flew out of it. Hey, what kind of aircraft is this? It seems that some parts can be combined with the Edissa. Edisha was studying the flying aircraft carefully. She was not worried that it was an enemy aircraft. After all, it was what Jia Yan called out. Of course, he knew that it belonged to Jia Yan. But just after it took a closer look at the aircraft, the Mosquito's expression suddenly froze. Because it suddenly felt that there was an extremely terrifying aura inside the aircraft, which far exceeded the master beside it. Even the sense of intimacy it created for him exceeded that of the master beside him. This. Edisha suddenly opened her compound eyes, looked at the master beside her, and then at the aircraft that appeared, with shock written all over her face. Haha, you're stupid. Jia Yan's clone suddenly laughed strangely. Then, inside the huge aircraft a few kilometers away, a dark creature that seemed very familiar to Edisha, but whose body was huge and far larger than the body she remembered, slowly flew out. "Ah, my God. Master, that is the master, you are the clone. Ah, master, your strength is actually astral level. Oh my God, Edisha is going crazy. The master has become a star. I have become the last person to know. The master betrayed Edisha. No, the master did not betray Edisha. My lovely Disha is so sad. Ah." Aditha's frantic screams echoed through the entire Aditha, as if she was shocked by the scene she saw in front of her. "Haha, okay, open the hatch and let my real body in. Also, that aircraft was made to be combined with the Edissa, and it can give the Edissa the ability to move quickly in subspace. There will be more places we can go together in the future. We will never be apart for a long time again." Jia Yan's clone saw Aditha roaring like she was playing tricks, and felt a warm smile in his heart. Not long after, Jia Yan entered the interior of the Edissa in person. "Wow, Master, you are really at the stellar level. This, this, so amazing. Edisha didn't even make any effort. It seems that you are still promoted to the perfect level." Edisha is really surprised. Aditha was constantly hovering next to Jia Yan's real body. Its small body of light and shadow was almost like an insignificant larva next to the terrifying giant mosquito that was 1 kilometer in size. "Okay, Edissa, let's combine the superfast ship with the Edissa first, and then fly to Taia. I'll tell you slowly what happened these days." Jia Yan smiled and then ordered a Idisha. The combination of the super-fast ship and the Edissa is actually very simple. It was originally designed by Z-Bala based on the data of the Edissa. Even if there are some incompatible parts, it can be solved through the Edissa's adjust and be able to connect quickly. Not long after, there seemed to be something wrong with the super-fast ship style and the Edissa, but when they were combined, it was like an alternative fusion, and they actually became a complete whole. Okay, wow, I feel that the Aditha suddenly has a lot more functions. It's awesome. Z-Bala is so awesome. Aditha flew around Jia Yan, very happy. Suddenly, it felt that the Edisha had the ejection capability of a super-fast ship. It knew that it would be able to move quickly with Jia Yan in the future, and no longer had to worry about the same moments as before, and it suddenly felt even happier. "Fly to the kingdom of Taia. I'll tell you how I reached the stellar level over the years." Jia Yan smiled at it and then commanded. "Okay, let's go." Under the excitement of Edisha, the length of the Edisha was increased by a few kilometers, and the huge hull actually entered the subspace. Jia Yan was sitting in the familiar Edissa, feeling slightly happy. After all, from now on, he would no longer have to worry about speed. At least the current Edissa had the ejection capability of a super-fast ship. His speed requirements can be temporarily satisfied. If he was willing to give up his energy, he could even travel to and from the Earth in a few months. If he were more willing to give up, it would not be a problem for him to fly to the center of the Milky Way where he had never been before in 2 or 3 years. Of course, he won't go there now, at least for the time being. Because according to the information Jia Yan has seen before, the center of the Milky Way, which is the center of the Milky Way. Too dangerous. On this trip, Jia Yan returned to Taia Kingdom, and received a warm welcome from a group of Taia Kingdom leaders, including Kama. After all, in this case, can be regarded as Jia Yan's real body. It is almost the first time since he was promoted to the star level that he truly appeared in front of the senior officials of Taia Kingdom with his true face. Facing this infinitely powerful guardian, the grand welcome given by Taia Kingdom cannot be overstated. So the whole country celebrated Jia Yan's appearance with excitement. Of course, the surrounding major forces also rushed over, but no matter what level they came, they could only watch from a distance. Let alone talking to Jia Yan, he couldn't even see his appearance clearly. But this is enough. No force will be unhappy. Instead, they can go back and talk about how they have met Lord Jia Yan. You must know that this is a person who can kill another star-level powerhouse, and even a strong man who may have several other stellar friends. The appearance of Jia Yan also brought another surge in the prestige of Tadia Kingdom, especially the scene where he met and talked with Kama, which was like a show and was wildly reproduced by countless media and spread throughout the northern star territory. And even spread to farther star fields. And in days like this, the country of Tadia flourished, and time passed slowly day by day. Mobile phone users, please browse and read for a better reading experience. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1252. On this day, in a tightly guarded place on Tadia Star, the capital of Tadia Kingdom, good news came. It turns out that I got a reply about negotiating with the Earth. And this matter goes back half a month. The nobleman of the Bella tribe who was sent to Earth by the Kingdom of Tadia finally appeared somewhere underground after going through an extremely long dual expedition in space and the gravitational wave system. This is the Earth. He flew out of the underground passage and was quickly attracted by the scene in front of him. This, although it seems that the civilization of this planet is not that developed, I can feel that there is a slight connection with our Bella clan. Even the development of culture is so similar. These lands are almost instinctive to me. Sure enough, we, the Bella people, came out of this land. After the man flew out of the passage, he transformed into an ordinary Chinese man and walked in the garden where the Jiao family was. His strength is not high, so his body is not much different from that of an ordinary earthling. But even so, he still has heaven-level strength, and it is heaven-level in the outside world. He is considered to be the top group of people on the current Earth. Who are you? Just as he took a few steps, he heard a little girl's voice shouting to him. The man learned the Terran Xia language through the language materials provided by Jia Yan. Anyway, the lingua franca on Earth is now Chinese, so he only learned such a language. The language spoken by this little girl was exactly the Chinese language he was learning, and he quickly understood that he had not learned the wrong language. In a blink of an eye, he saw a little girl who looked almost the same as the little girl from their Beira tribe, standing not far away from him, glaring at him. This little guy is carved from pink and jade, as cute as a doll, which makes men fall in love with him as soon as he sees it. But his expression soon changed drastically. Because just when he organized the language and wanted to talk to this little girl who was in first contact, one after another, powerful men who had reached the heaven level arrived like lightning and quickly surrounded him. Upward arrow, downward arrow, www.aichu. And the little girl was quickly protected, making him understand that the little girl he met was a high-level figure. Among these coming breaths, there was even one that made his mouth feel dry and he almost didn't dare to resist. Didn't Lord Jia Yan say that there aren't many powerful people on Earth? Why are there even starry sky level ones? He almost cried. Fortunately, he came here for the sake of friendship and quickly gave up resistance at this time. What happened next made him almost burst into tears. His identity was questioned. Even if he told him that he was from another distant place, no one believed him. The investigation of him continued for several days. During this period, he finally found out that the little girl he offended was actually a member of the greatest family in Earth civilization called the Jiao family. Even being so close to the little girl, he was lucky not to kill him directly. Fortunately, this man is from Tadia after all, and this kind of thing can be investigated quickly. He was received by high-level officials on Earth. Huh? You mean, the adult who asked you to come here is named Jia Yan? The senior officials on Earth became uneasy after hearing this name. Yes, according to my lord, he also has some reputation here on Earth. You should know him. I know, more than I know. If you had told Jia Yan earlier, How could we have treated you like this? Haha, okay, I will call some Earth Alliance senior officials to talk in detail about what Lord Jiayan ordered you to do. When the Earth side found out that the person who ordered this man to come to Earth was actually Jiayan, everyone's attitude changed drastically. In particular, when I learned that there seemed to be a giant mosquito also called Jiayan in the kingdom of Taia, although the Earth side was ignorant, they understood that this matter even involved the giant mosquito clan, which made it even more difficult. Don't dare to neglect. Soon, the Earth made a decision, of course, to cooperate with the Bela and Kutan tribes, as well as the Bile tribe, who are related to the people on Earth. This is a win-win situation. And this was the message the man quickly conveyed back. Well, now that the initial negotiations have been completed normally, you scientists from the Pacific Kingdom must work harder on this matter. First, some people will go there, bring supplies, and redesign the Stargate on the Earth. Then trading and correspondence begins. When Jiayan learned the news, he issued the order. Okay, my subordinate just reported back and said that the Orion arm does have a lot of urgently needed supplies for us. This is really the biggest win-win for us. Kama smiled happily. The Orion arm is indeed a distant star field, and it is relatively closed. The important resources in it are not exploited. This is an extremely important thing for the Pacific Kingdom. And they can also bring a lot to the Earth, such as knowledge that far exceeds that of the Orion arm, as well as resources, technological items, weapons, and even when necessary, the three major races in the Northern Star region can directly expand the Stargate through emergency expansion. Send troops to Earth for support. Of course, the Orion arm can also do similar things, such as gravitational wave systems, unique science and technology, and so on. All this can only be accomplished with the presence of Jiayan, a strong man sitting on both sides. After listening to Kama's analysis, Jiayan finally let go of a huge stone in his heart. When the Earth communicates with the outside world, and the Pacific Kingdom, which it also relatively trusts, not only has a greater development opportunity, but also has a reliable ally in the future, whether the Orion arm or the Pacific Kingdom here will be affected again when attacked by external forces, as long as the four major races share the same hatred, their chances of victory will be much greater. At this point, there is a clan of Earthlings, a clan of Bela, a clan of Kutan, and a clan of Bile. After being separated for more than 200,000 years, the four major races once again stood together to face all difficulties and crises in the vast universe. This is a shocking achievement for Jiayan. Of course, he has achieved similar achievements many times. For example, each of the four major races has been saved by Jiayan in a sense. Of course, this time is different from salvation, but the four major races wandering in the universe, like the four brothers, are completely tied together again. Perhaps future generations will evaluate Jiayan's actions this time as epoch-making. Bar. After doing these things, Jiayan was ready to leave. After all, the task of Genius Battlefield is already imminent. Master Jiayan, Master, are you leaving again? After listening to the news reported by Kama, when Jiayan told the news that he was leaving again, Kama's beautiful big eyes could almost drip with water. Of course, when Jiayan said leaving, it would not be a simple departure. He must have been separated for a long time. This made Karma feel sad, and he even uttered the words master that he had not said for a long time. Kama, why are you still teasing me? When Jiayan heard her master remarks, he immediately thought of the scene where the other party teased him more than 10 years ago, and he shook his head with a wry smile. Isn't it interesting that a female with the power of 30 billion lives and deaths is called master? I heard that males like this very much, Kama said softly with a picturesque look on her face. Anyway, you should try your best to find time to come back and see me, master, she said sweetly and coquettishly. Ahem, I'm leaving. Jiayan shouted that he couldn't stand it anymore, and then retreated into the subspace amidst Kama's gurgling. I will come back to visit you, but before leaving, Jia Yan still replied. After a while, Kama looked at the empty meeting hall and his face turned red. Jia Yan thought she was just teasing him, but only Kama knew that her heart was pounding when she said those words. Oh, are you leaving again? You are like a strange wind, blowing by one after another, but unwilling to stay. Kama shook his head helplessly. Jia Yan didn't know that Kama behind him described himself in this way. After secretly shouting at the Empress, he entered the Aditha docked in the subspace. It was enough to say hello to Kama, otherwise the outside world might have other thoughts when they knew he was leaving. Let's go, Edisha, it's time for us to return to the genius battlefield, but this time, our identities are different. Not a genius, but a star-level powerhouse who has graduated from the genius battlefield. A big shot who has gone back to do a mission. Jia Yan said to Edissa in the Edissa. Oh, big shot, come back to the genius battlefield. Haha, watch me fly. Edisha seemed to be very satisfied with the title of big shot given by Jia Yan. With a command, the Edisha started to move in the subspace. Master, let me see how this ejection function works. Be prepared. I will eject. Let's start. The Edissa used the ejection function for the first time after it became a superfast ship. I saw a huge aircraft suddenly ejecting a ball of energy-like material in the subspace, and then quickly entered the deep space of the subspace. Wow, oh, you actually entered the seventh dimension of space in an instant, and are still entering deeper places, 8 degrees, 9 degrees. Oh my god. Editha was constantly stunned, and then she was speechless. Already the Edissa was ejected and reached depths of subspace that it could not map. Find the bookstore. Time almost stopped here, and the surroundings were completely filled with dense matter in subspace. Speed up, or you will really be swallowed by the twisted space. Jia Yan saw it stunned, and Lian Man reminded him. Oh, hearing Jia Yan's voice, Edisha quickly started operating the Edissa. Soon, the Edissa stabilized at this unmappable depth and moved quickly. Master, I have to say that the people from Taya who invented this way of flying are amazing. I admire them. Edisha was almost in awe. Facing the cheering little guy, Jia Yan responded casually, but his mind was immersed in it, completely focused on the upcoming Genius Battlefield mission. This volume is over. The new volume is a more magnificent stellar adventure. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1253. Recently, the Genius Battlefield has been busy working on one thing. Sui Mengxiao said. That is the all-round genius battle that the Genius Battlefield is about to engage in with the distant Star Academy. It seems that the entire Genius Battlefield is extremely excited because of this event. Even the genius Jia Yan, who was born like a miracle not long ago, is rarely discussed. Of course, the genius who could make the entire Genius Battlefield talk about it for a whole year has long since become an impression that can't be erased in everyone's mind. Even if they don't talk about it anymore, everyone remembers his name and appearance. And on this day, Jia Yan, who had been remembered and even discussed by many people in the previous year, personally drove a strange aircraft to the outskirts of the Genius Battlefield. Here, as usual, every day is full of geniuses coming from the outside world. If you want to enter the uncertainty and reappear, you will be a star-level powerhouse. No matter how bad it is, you will be a genius level, semi-star level. Strong people, you should know that when such strong people return to their own star field, almost every one of them can take charge of one side. Wow, that aircraft is so huge and awesome. Haha, haven't you seen that this aircraft has no weapon system at all? The fact that such a big guy can fly in the universe is considered lucky for its owner. Anyone else would have been targeted and killed. To put it bluntly, such a big aircraft looks good but looks useless. Hey, what happened to that aircraft? It went directly to the entrance of the Genius Battlefield. Didn't he know that he had to line up at the door? You are just looking for death. Can you break into the entrance of the genius battlefield casually? Unless the aircraft is filled with a star-level powerhouse and a genius-level star-level powerhouse from the genius battlefield, how can you enter casually? At the entrance to the genius battlefield, a group of geniuses waiting to enter the genius battlefield test were all queuing up. However, when they saw the weird aircraft, they did not line up. Instead, they bypassed them and flew towards the entrance to the genius battlefield. Each of these geniuses looked disdainful, thinking that this was another genius from the countryside. They didn't know the heights of the world. They thought they had power and wanted to directly enter the battlefield of geniuses. These days, many geniuses have witnessed a similar scene. As a result, those geniuses who thought they had a strong background were kicked out of the genius battlefield one by one, and some even died. Therefore, they also had the same idea about the behavior of the strange aircraft, thinking that the other party must be seeking death. But just when they wanted to watch the show, suddenly, the expressions of each of these geniuses changed. Because as they watched, no official from the genius battlefield appeared at the entrance of the genius battlefield. Instead, the entrance was opened so that the huge aircraft could enter smoothly. What's going on? Oh my God, could it be that inside that aircraft is a certain star-level senior from a genius battlefield? He can actually enter directly. Yes, the senior inside must be a stellar powerhouse. That's why the senior dares to fly such an aircraft without a weapon system and sail in the universe, right? Oh my God, I came to this genius battlefield to sign up, and I was able to see a star-level powerhouse in the genius battlefield. You must know that there are only 2 star-level powerhouses in our star field. I didn't even see it. Pass. One genius after another, the whole commotion started at the entrance. However, what these geniuses don't know is that the star level they just saw with their own eyes is completely different from the ordinary genius battlefield star level powerhouses. If you have time and talent that reaches at least the top 100 geniuses, you will feel even more shocked. You must know that the genius battlefield was created for more than 200,000 years. What kind of geniuses have not appeared in the middle? How rare it is to be ranked among the top 100 among all geniuses in the genius battlefield since its establishment so long ago. This strange aircraft that the geniuses saw was naturally the Edisha that Jia Yan was riding on. At this time, the Edisha was really weirder than before. If it hadn't been able to fly, many people would have thought it was a work of art. Welcome back, Your Excellency Jia Yan. When Jia Yan passed through the crowd and arrived at the entrance of the genius battlefield, what surprised him was that there was a communication sound immediately at the door, which was transmitted to the Edisha, and then he did not encounter anyone. Obstacle, directly entered the genius battlefield. To be honest, Jia Yan was still a little worried that Genius Warfield had tricked him into coming back and then arrested him here. But he summed up his strength and felt that even with the ability of Genius Battlefield, as long as he sensed something was wrong and ran away, with the rapid movement of the Edisha that could eject in deep space, few people would be able to catch him. So there is no fear. If there is any sneak attack, it will start around this entrance. Jia Yan was extremely vigilant, but when he entered the entrance to the Genius Battlefield, there was no arrest. Anyway, it was a thin creature that didn't look that powerful, waiting for him. Hey, he's actually a star, but his strength fluctuations are not that strong. Jia Yan was surprised to see that the creature in front of him was actually a star-level powerhouse, but the fluctuations on his body were extremely weak and seemed to fall below the star level. Haha, Sir Jia Yan, don't be surprised. Even in our genius battlefield, there are many star-level experts who were promoted to old age. The old man looked at the interior of the Edisha with envy, and seemed to be able to. Through the exterior of the Edisha, we can see the extremely youthful Jia Yan inside. Well, didn't you know that this gentleman is waiting for me here? Jia Yan pondered for a while, and was slightly surprised that there was such a stellar powerhouse in the genius battlefield, so he didn't think too much about it. As the other party said, there are so many geniuses in the genius battlefield. A large number of geniuses may even be able to break through when they are old, just like the old man in front of him who is a star level, although he is not very strong. He may not even have many years to live, but he is still a real star. I can't call you sir in front of your excellency Jiayan. You can just call me an insult. It's true that I'm waiting for you here. Please come with me. After the other party finished speaking, he did not ask to enter the interior of the Edisha, because he knew that Jiayan still did not trust genius battlefield. Seeing the weak and strong man in front of him leading the way, Jiayan smiled slightly in his heart. Genius battlefield was thinking about Jodeo, knowing that he would definitely have some scruples about genius battlefield, so even the person who came to greet him was a star who was not that powerful. It not only shows respect for Jiayan, but also prevents Jiayan from feeling threatened. It can be roughly determined that there is no hostility in the genius battlefield. Next, we will see if there are many star-level experts in the place where he takes me. If there are, I still need to be careful to keep a distance. Probably taking Jiayan's worries into consideration, the star-level old man named Tuhan took Jiayan to a small planet somewhere with only 2 star-level beings. This planet is not far from the entrance where Jiayan entered, and 2 familiar stellar-level fluctuations are emitted from it. Is Longta going to fight Luobe? Haha, the genius battlefield official has thought carefully about it, and there are not too many star-level experts. Seeing this scene, Jiayan felt satisfied and thought that genius warfield was still very sincere. Jiayan, you're here. Just as Jiayan was looking at the planet, one of the 2 star-level fluctuations on the planet suddenly flew towards Jiayan. It turned out that he was Longta, and Longta was dressed in black at this time. Although the appearance of the flying body was not very similar to Jiayan, the color was similar to Jiayan. Well, here we come, Senior Longta, shall we start the mission directly? Jiayan asked. Of course, after all, you will not be willing to go to the headquarters to meet with the top management of our genius battlefield, it is better to start the task directly. Both of us will have less worries, right? Longta said nonchalantly. Jiayan smiled. The officials of the genius battlefield are very smart, which makes him less worried. He even has no need to use some of the plans he had thought up before coming to deal with the genius battlefield. While the 2 were talking, Liu Beiju below also flew up and said hello to Jiayan. Okay, now that the 3 people who are going on the mission this time have gathered, we will go out tomorrow. Your Excellency Jiayan, do you have anything else to do in the genius battlefield? After a few pleasantries, Longta suddenly asked Jiayan. Well, it's nothing serious. I'll just go over and send some messages later. Jiayan thought about it and still felt that he should wait for a safe message from Ziba. After a few more words between the people, Jiayan simply flew out of the Edisha and flew to the planet beneath his feet with Longta and Luobe. Guys, my mission is completed, I'll take my leave now. The old stellar-level powerhouse looked at the 3 young stellar-level men with envy, said helplessly, and then left. As an old star, it is impossible for him to be sent to the outside world. After all, the genius battlefield also needs face. What's the point of sending a weak old star-level expert on a mission? Jiayan took a deep look at the old star behind him, and seemed to feel something in his heart through him. After all, the star level should be the envy of all living things, but at this time he saw a star-level powerhouse with a low status. He seemed to have some star level, but he was not as beautiful as outsiders imagined. Jiayan, take a look, there are several geniuses on this planet that we are going to lead in the genius competition with the stellar academic field this time. There are also a few of them who are familiar to you. Oh, after hearing Longta's words, Jiayan was stunned for a moment, and then carefully looked at the planet that was about to fall. It turns out it was them.